Hello bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the Back from Booknet Fest tag. This tag was created by Najiri from the channel Onyx Pages, and it was inspired by Kathy Trithart, who created the Booknet Fest tag, the one that you do before you go to Booknet Fest. It's been a little bit less than a week since Booknet Fest. I wanted to film this tag earlier this week, but not too long after getting back from my trip, I came down with a cold, I think just from traveling, being exposed to more germs than normal, but also I didn't exactly get a lot of rest while I was out of town. So I've had a cold for the last few days, but I'm finally starting to feel better and ready to film again. I did attempt to vlog while I was at Booknet Fest, but I didn't get a lot of footage. They're mostly just like random room pans of various things that I was doing. I think it was a little bit hard because I literally was never alone while I was at Booknet Fest. I was lucky enough to room with a bunch of other booktubers, but I was also just being a bit of a social butterfly and it didn't have much downtime to talk to the camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this tag, and at the end of the video I'm going to throw in whatever clips I was able to get. So it's going to be a little bit of a tag and vlog combo. Okay, I have the questions on my phone. Let's get started. The first question is, explain your BNF experience in one word. And that's definitely tricky, but I'm gonna go with awesome. I enjoyed myself so much on this trip. It was really great to meet so many creators that I have only known through the internet before. Some of them are people that I've talked to outside of my comment section. Some of them were people that I had only talked to within the comment section. And some of them were channels that I hadn't yet discovered. I'm going to be linking a bunch of people that I spent time with over the weekend down in the description box so that you guys can discover their channels too. The coolest thing about this weekend was meeting people that I've talked to a lot through the internet and have known for over a year now, meeting them in person and it not being weird. I kept telling Joshana, who was kind of my buddy over the weekend, but I kept telling her that it was so weird that it wasn't weird meeting these people. I felt like I was meeting up with friends that I've known forever, which is true. They are friends that I've known forever, but I had never actually met them before. And that was by far my favorite thing about the weekend, was just meeting people that I love through my screen and getting to be able to hug them and spend time with them. Our interactions were just so easy because it felt like we already knew each other. Question number 2 is, what was your favorite session and why? I have 2 sessions that I want to talk about. I'd say my top favorite session was the one about reviewing. It was called 5 out of 5 stars. People just talked about their different takes on how to approach reviewing books. And this is a topic that I have talked about with my bookish friends so many different times. I love talking about how people approach reviews and ratings because I feel like I personally approach them in a slightly different way than a lot of other people. I've been meaning to make a video all about how I rate and review books. It's on my to-do list, but it's something that I think about a lot because of this channel and what I do here. I thought that panel was fascinating. The other panel that I really loved was the spoiler panel. I'm not remembering exactly what it was called, but it was all about spoilers and how to go about talking about books on the internet while avoiding spoilers. This is another thing that I think about all the time as I talk about books in my wrap-ups and do reviews, trying to figure out how to toe the line between describing a book and giving away spoilers, or how to talk about things that are spoilers but I want people to know before going into a book and things like that. That panel was fascinating, and I loved everyone's take on it. The panel was really interesting because just by chance, it turned out that everybody on that panel were the kind of readers that actually like to spoil themselves on purpose, which I knew that some people like that existed, but to have like, I don't know, 4 of them on a panel all at once was definitely an interesting experience. That ties into the next question, which is, what is the most interesting thing that you learned? And I'd say that. I mean, I kind of knew that there were some people out there who liked to get spoiled for things, but I didn't think that there were that many of them. And it was also interesting to learn the reasons why they want to be spoiled for things. A lot of it had to do with like anxiety over what's going to happen when there's so much like hype around a book, or people talk so like ominously about a book, it can give a reader some anxiety and they would rather just know what's going to happen. Another reason why some of them like to spoil themselves also had to do with like the hype around an ending, but just the idea that if something is hyped up, then they're going to create a version of the story in their head that might end up being like a better ending than what they actually get. And so they kind of create a situation where they're going to be disappointed with the real ending. And so they would rather know what the real ending is so they don't like overhype the book in their heads. Mara from Books Like Whoa talked about how she considers her a how reader instead of a why reader, because she's more interested in how something's going to happen, or maybe she said what reader instead of what is going to happen. So she doesn't mind knowing what's going to happen because it's still interesting to find out how it happens. And they talked a little bit about how if the twist is good in a book, that it will still be a good twist without the element of surprise, which I agree with to an extent. I do think a good twist should be able to withstand like being spoiled. But at the same time, I personally just love the thrill and the emotions around discovering something for the first time, and I would never want to take that away from people if that's something that they want. So it was really interesting to hear the point of view of people who purposely go out and spoil themselves. Question number 4 is, were there any conversations that you had at BNF that you think we should keep talking about as a community for the rest of the year? There were so many interesting panels that it's kind of hard to pick an answer for this, and I know that a lot of the conversations at BNF had to do with like diversity and representation, but I'm going to be a little bit boring and go back to the how we rate and review books. That's just a topic that I find fascinating, and I love hearing people's different approaches to that, and that's a conversation that I want to have all day, every day. Question number 5 is, what was your most memorable moment? And it doesn't have to be just one. As much as I loved the panels, I loved the time that I got to spend with other booktubers outside of the panels even more. This year we had the very first Booknet Fest prom, which is where everybody got to dress up and we just had a big party. That was definitely one of my highlights of the weekend. It was so much fun seeing everybody dressed up and getting to be on the dance floor with them. Before the prom, we had a little pregame group and I hung out with Jashana, Leanna from Leanna's Library, Derby from Derby Lane Reading, Mara from Books Like Whoa, and Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany, who were all people that I was friendly with before going to Booknet Fest, and I was so happy to spend more time with them there. We had a lot of really good conversations before prom while we were getting ready, and that was definitely one of my most memorable moments of the weekend. Question number 6, in what way does Booknet Fest add value to the bookish community? And I think the biggest value it brings is bringing together so many different booktubers. There are definitely other bookish events out there, but those other bookish events focus more on the industry of publishing. There's authors that come, there's librarians, people who work for publishers, and readers, so it's kind of like a mix of people, but Booknet Fest is really the only book event that is really focused on people of the bookish internet. It has a much more intimate feel because it's a newer event, it's quite small, and I really loved that. It honestly just felt like hanging out with a bunch of my friends, and it's just so amazing to hang out with other creators who do what you do, who also sit in a room and talk to a camera. But yeah, I just think the fostering of the community and getting to connect with other people of the bookish internet is definitely the best thing about Booknet Fest. Question number 7 is, show us your swag, book swap treasure, or something great you got from a vendor. I did not actually bring anything for the book swap, but some of my friends at Booknet Fest were doing an unhaul, and so I have a few things from that. So first, Ashley from Don't Have a Degree in Reading brought me 2 Anthony Ryan books. I have The Walking Fire and The Legion of Flame. These are the first 2 books in a series of his. I don't remember what it's called. It's something like dragons, but not. Anthony Ryan is the author of the Blood Song series. I don't know if that's the name of that series, but that's the name of one of the books that Elliot Brooks loves. And I have heard that this series is like not as good as the Blood Song series, but Ashley was getting rid of them and I figured I would give them a home because I do want to give this author a try. Sorry if there was a little angle change, my memory card filled up. But another book that Ashley from Don't Have a Degree in Reading was getting rid of was The Walled City by Ryan Groudon. This is a book that's actually on my fall TBR. It's something that I pulled out of my TBR jar. And I had previously checked this out from the library, but I had to return it before I got a chance to read it. And now I have a copy of it and I can read it whenever I want to. Another book I got from an unhaul was The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson. This was an unhaul that my villa was doing. I don't actually remember whose book this was, so I can't say, but all of the girls from the villa are listed in the description box. I've read one series by Ray Carson before and I absolutely loved it. It was her historical fantasy series, and I've been wanting to go back further into her backlist and read the Girl of Fire and Thorns series, but I haven't had a chance to pick it up. Now I have a copy of the first book and I can read it whenever I want to. And then the last book that I got from Booknet Fest was an ARC. This is an advanced reader copy of Ruthless Gods by Emily A. Duncan. Emily A. Duncan was at Booknet Fest. She was on a couple of panels, as well as someone who works for St. Martin's Press, who's the person that I got this ARC from. I read the first book in the series earlier this year, and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's a dark YA fantasy, and I am excited to continue on in the series. Those are all the books that I got. I also got a pin. I'm not really a pin collector, but I got this one, the BookTube 2019 pin. These are made by Kate from Chapter Kate. I think she made them for BookCon and then was passing out extras that she had at Booknet Fest, so I was excited to get this, even though I don't really collect pins. And then other than that, I got a bunch of bookmarks and stuff. There was a table where everyone just put out their bookmarks and business cards, and I picked up a bunch from people that I know. Question number 8 is shout out a few content creators who inspired you at BNF. And honestly, I was just inspired by meeting everybody in person, no one person in particular. I've definitely come home with an excitement for making more videos. I'm hoping to kind of ramp up my video schedule a little bit, but no promises there. So I'm just inspired in general. Definitely check out all the people I have linked in the description box because they're all awesome people that I hung out with this weekend. Question number 9 is if you plan to come back next year, is there anything you'd want to change? That's kind of a tough question. I mean, I loved the weekend, obviously, but my favorite parts, like I mentioned, were the times where I got to just hang out with the other content creators. The panels are fun, but it's a lot of like sitting and listening to what people are saying, which is fascinating, but I also just love being able to like quote unquote talk shop with other booktubers. That's, you know, something that we did during that pregame time that I talked about. That was one of my favorite moments of Booknet Fest. So I would love to be able to just have more time to talk to other creators, maybe have more like small table conversations where maybe some of the panelists come down and like walk around and talk with people. I don't know logistically how to do it, but more chances to just hang out with people would be really great. Oh, this year there was also Trivia Night, which was hosted by Derby, Leanna, and Bethany, and that was so much fun too. So like more opportunities like that for people to connect and just like hang out and talk about our love for books outside of the panels. And then question number 10 is please share your prom portrait or any other photos and videos of yourself having fun at BNF. So this is where the vlog portion of my video is going to start. I'm just going to throw in the clips and stuff that I have from prom and the rest of Booknet Fest. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this tag slash vlog. If you guys have considered going to Booknet Fest, I hope you try to make it next year. I also hope to make it next year. I have no idea what my life is going to look like a year from now, so I can't plan or promise anything, but I would love to go again, hopefully next year. It was just so much fun and is definitely going to be the highlight of my year. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you like bookish content. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.